That's D&D in a nutshell.
Right. Hey, Dungeons and Dragons fans. Do you want to enhance your D&D exploration? Well, we're going to be talking Hexcrawls, a powerful tool to do just that today. Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
And I'm your co-host, Austin.
And I'm your co-host, Ian.
This podcast was created This show was created to provide you, our heroes, with new and reusable material for both players and DMs. We're no longer a podcast only.
Yeah, we kind of aren't.
So I think we're a D&D show, no longer just a podcast.
Yeah.
But you can find us.
They might want to do just a script.
Yeah, I will work on that.
We hope to inspire you today with more creative content that you can always bring on your next adventure.
Yeah.
We do it every time.
Yeah.
We want to thank you guys for joining us here today at Crit Academy Studios, where everything's made up and your rolls don't matter.
That's right. Your role's like a world map without a hex grid. Yes, those exist.
Those are a thing. They were more of a thing longer or in old school stuff, but OSR is making a return, so...
Or other
You'll
games
know.
for that matter.
Yes.
You'll see it.
I would just like to take a moment, if you're watching us on YouTube or Twitch or TikTok or whatever it is, please consider subscribing. Our subscriber rate on YouTube has just been blowing up. In the last week, we've gone like 35% increase. So thank you, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. So with that, let us get into our main topic today. If you don't know, we are going to be talking enhancing your exploration in Dungeons and Dragons with Hexcrawls. Now, I cannot take credit for this idea. It's way back from first edition.
Yeah,
but
it's older than most of us.
Yes. I would like to say thank the Alexandrian. He has an amazing website. You can find a link in the show notes on our blog at Crit Academy, who actually breaks all this stuff down and is where I have taken most of the structure for this from. So kudos to him. So the Hexcrawl, what is it? It is a game structure for running wilderness exploration scenarios. Let's be honest, this is something that gets dropped off often.
Pretty often, yeah, I would say.
I mean, it's...
Especially with the way 5e is formatted,
yes,
it kind of gets swept under the rug a lot.
Yeah. Now, although we did see the initial core component of this slowly fade, D&D 2nd Edition Advanced, they removed it, and it really kind of hasn't been back since until the recent Tomb of Annihilation, though I am told that Kingmaker, the Pathfinder set, already was doing this as well.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody can confirm nor deny that. I don't play Pathfinder.
I can't confirm.
And like I said just before the show, they did bring it back a little bit for the playtest for 5th edition. Okay.
So they have been playing around with the idea, which is great. So with that, I would like to take a second and say that if you're thinking about running Hexcrawls, I promise it's worth giving it a shot. But make sure that you talk to the team, the players, and make sure that's something that they want.
Yes.
Because exploration isn't everyone's cup of tea. I don't know if that's the reason why some tables don't do it, or if it's just been lost.
Yeah. So I think when it comes to Hexcrawls, we kind of already touched on it, where it kind of feels like this almost dated design, because everyone wants to kind of move fast, right? Everyone wants to play the game at breakneck speed, and Hexcrawls significantly can slow the game down, which actually me and Justin, when we were about to start the show, we were talking like it really kind of reminds us of like old Final Fantasy 1, where like you're kind of like in this unknown realm, you're kind of pushed into exploration, and we even talked about Downtime. Hexcrawls really do kind of like, should the DM will it, you're probably going to find Downtime a lot more often than you normally would, because the adventure itself is getting slowed down.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the mechanics really quick, so that they kind of got an idea of what it is.
And I think the thing too, though, is like a lot of modules too these days just map out everything for you, so there's not really anything to explore, if you will.
Yeah,
I can agree with that.
But once again, that's a changing of the times. It doesn't mean that this isn't worth exploring. And like I said, it came back in Tomb of Annihilation for a reason, and it fit that theme perfectly. And I think that's part of it. So let's talk about it. So regardless of the structure there is regardless of the game that you run Hexcrawls in, there is kind of a generic structure that you kind of build off in your games. Obviously, as Dungeon Masters, we can change as much or as little as we want, but we're going to break it into basically 4 categories, and we're not going to break it up. This comes from the Alexandrian. Once again, recommend checking out his site. So, they all start with a hex map. If you don't know what a hex map is, there's one right here on the screen over here. Here, I'll blow it up for you guys so you can see. This is actually the hex map of Chult, and you'll notice that it's an overland map, but there's a lot of blank space. That's the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is to have a lot of that blank space to be explored.
Exactly.
So, in general, the terrain of a hex is given as a kind of a visual reference, and the a reference, and the hex is kind of numbered either directly or gridded across however you want. You really don't have to do that, but that's something that's pretty typical. And then the entire area is dotted with additional features: settlements, dungeons, rivers, roads, kind of to name a few. But what's really cool is while it is cool to kind of dot some of that out, you can also add random roll tables to these and roll them randomly, so even the DM doesn't know where anything's at.
Right.
If the DM says, I'm going to have these 10 events, these 10 locations, but I don't want to know where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be just as fun for the DM to kind of explore if you roll it on a chart and it says, oh, you guys stumbled into the town of Greenhold.
Hey,
okay, it's here now, and then they check it off on the map and they know where it's at.
You know all those encounters on this show that we do? You can literally just choose, one out of the 233, and you can use those on your Hexcrawls.
Yeah.
So kind of touching on the idea of locations being keyed. If you do build your map in advance, which I think is kind of the normal thing, but it's not necessary. Personally, I'm a fan of randomizing, so I'm pretty cool with just shit being in a random location. But each of those locations is keyed to a specific hex, so you know what's there ahead of time if you so choose, or a certain die, right? If you decide a certain hex is going to be a certain type of combat, like it's going to be an ambush, you might have an ambush chart or whatever.
Right.
The next thing that you need is travel mechanics, which determines how far the PCs can move and how far they get over land travel. Now, 5th edition does have very limited rules on this, but it does give you details on how far people can go if they travel at a normal pace, if they travel at a fast or a slow pace. And the biggest disadvantage of traveling fast is what, guys?
You might miss out on stuff.
That's one thing.
The lack of downtime.
Lack of downtime, or it's easier to get ambushed too. You can't prep as much. You push your characters to the limit. So there's rules for like exhaustion and stuff like that. If the characters have to travel, let's say it's supposed to take 2 weeks to get to this area, and you're traveling by hex, you can roll based on what speed they're going. And the counters may increase in difficulty or reduce in difficulty depending on how cautious the players are. Or the player characters.
This could also be a nice little situation because obviously we always love to give our players some form of almost like a time bomb, right? Where it's like, you have to be here at X amount of time or else bad things happen.
Right.
And of course, maybe they had failed the last combat encounter and it wasn't like a rioting success, like someone got captured or, they took too much time. So now your characters have to think, okay, we have to get here in 2 weeks, but it'll take us at least 3 weeks to get here unless we, start sacrificing sleep or really start to exhaust ourselves.
And that has a punishment in 5e specifically. Exhaustion is a bad mechanic to have. Or a bad debuff to have, right?
Exhaustion is probably one of the most painful things in the game.
Since it can kill you.
Now I'm thinking about one session back at the store where I kept getting exhaustion again and again and again. The fact that I had exhaustion kept compounding my rolls, which gave me more exhaustion.
Which makes it worse.
Yeah.
So once you've kind of got your map set up and your hexes laid out, the way it works is every time the players decide to move, they can pick a direction they want to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you know you got to go north, they're likely going to go that way. But once they enter a hex, the GM will then tell them the type of terrain. Now, I think this is important because each hex technically can be different. right?
It can be.
You want to keep it within realism unless you've got a reason for it. You don't want like a tundra next to a desert, but it gives you some variation in the land as they kind of adventure, whether this area is desert, but then the next area is a plain, and then in a forest, and then a swamp. Each one of those kind of lets them build out the areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this basic structure can really, I wouldn't say necessarily be designed to advance the story. It's meant to be a way to explore the world and the lore of the world, right? Which is something as dungeon masters we love creating, right? But it's hard to innately just pass that on to the players, right? So I think a hexcrawl is a great opportunity for that, because let's say I want to reveal that there was an ancient deity who sacrificed themselves to save the land, right? If I decide that's going to be on this grid somewhere, maybe I plop it, not directly in their path, but they decide to go to it and they hit it. They might just find a set of ruins that might even become a new dungeon delve. But they enter it, and then I get to feed them this big giant tapestry is falling, or not tapestry, that would be gone in that time. This big giant stone pillar has got some carvings on it, and then you ask for an intelligence check or something, and you slowly relay some of that lore, and then you just move on to the next hex.
Right.
And it gives a very natural way. So now there's a location on the map that says, hey, this ruin is here. It apparently talks about this ancient deity who sacrificed themselves to save the world. That's great. We should put that down. Somebody might want to go back to that. What's really cool is you can tie that back to your main campaign if you want, which I think is really nice.
Yep.
I've kind of been blabbing a lot because I wanted to get the core kind of concept out there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys kind of think about this as players?
So, as a player, again, because there is like references to this style of play in like older video games and stuff. Like you can kind of find stuff that's closely related, but I wouldn't say it's quite as much as like an actual hexcrawl. But this would be the kind of thing where if I wanted something that didn't feel like, okay, the world's ending and we're having to travel through different planes of existences and learn all this new culture immediately within weeks or we die. This is that's about Planeshifters, by the way. You should totally check that out.
Oh yeah, you should totally do that. We go live every 2 weeks.
That's quite literally the plot so far. But this would be nice for me when because like I like my rogue, but like he's not gonna go into like a war campaign. This would be something more for him where he has all this like skill sets and ready to kind of learn and express himself through the world, and this would be like a fun way to play that.
It's funny that you mention like a war campaign, because this is actually a great setting for that, because you've got soldiers and armies marching. One hex can be an entire army.
You could do that as well. I guess, that makes sense.
You just stumbled into a war camp.
Yeah. Yep. Like, oh geez, here's an entire platoon of enemies. We need to not be here. We need to disengage now.
Yeah.
What about you, Ian?
As I said before, I did participate in a campaign where we did use a hex grid on an island, which was being explored. And I do... Now, to be fair, either the GM rolled everything up ahead of time, so he already had all the terrain mapped out, or he had generated. But either way, we still got the exploration effect. He still did roll every time we went to a new hex for that terrain type. And we also did see, I want to say this was actually kind of used to a degree during the playtest as well for 5th edition.
I'm sad I missed out the playtest. I really wish I would have been able to be a part of that more. I got it right on the tail end where it was almost up.
There was and as I said before, there was a lot of good ideas in the playtests that were presented, and they just outright changed it. I'm still sore that it didn't go with like one of the earlier builds for the fighter, which is awesome.
Well, did you ever send that to me? Maybe we can build something off of it.
I could never find it. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh wow.
All right. So
it's just gone content. That's sad.
Now, as awesome as this sounds, it's not without its pitfalls.
Correct.
Moving space by space will slow down your campaign.
Yes.
Period. So if you're rushing, like I rush our campaigns because I want us to finish them.
No, yeah, for sure.
And that's
within the year, preferably.
Yes, and so that's why we've been able to successfully finish, Storm King's Thunder, Descent into Avernus, whatever the homebrew one I was running before that, because I pushed for those completions. But if we just wanted to just go our own speed, this would be a great way to fill out the world and let the players advance and experience the world as a whole. Now, one of the pitfalls I mentioned is that it can slow down the campaign. That's certainly something that's a problem. Now, as a dungeon master, you can speed that hexcrawl up as much as you want. I've only ran a hexcrawl once, and when I did, I chose to use a D4 plus what the player's speed was. So if the players decide to go at a normal pace, it was just a D4. If they went at a fast pace, it was a D4 plus 1, and if they went at a slow pace, it was a D4 minus 1, and they could pick which hexes they went in. So they were able to traverse several hexes. That was still a little bit random as we progressed. Once again, I only did this once, but it's one of the reasons why I wanted to cover this, because I really enjoyed it. It was a different kind of game.
I think using a D4 as movement is probably a really good idea. Only reason being is because terrain in and of itself is going to be random. I mean, there could be maybe this forest that I'm going through is completely flat land, right? But this forest that I'm going through, unfortunately, it's a giant hill into a cavern, and I have to get over it somehow, and that might take a little bit of time.
I like that, because then as we can narrate, why did it take you longer?
Yes.
And it could just be as easy as Ian's character got distracted by some random merchant that went around, because that's the other thing. The encounters can be anything. They don't have to be,
can be anything.
They don't have to be any particular kind. It can be as mundane as you run into an interesting artificer on your travels, and Merle Bronson spent a half a day talking to him about his new gizmo or some BS. And that's a good way to fit in when nothing eventful happens, to fit in the kind of the characters' personalities, which is really cool. Now,
an otherworldly being has shown itself to you, and you are all absolutely horrified for the next 6 hours. And then everything was back to normal, and he wiped your memories of the entire encounter happening.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And you know what? Things like that happen. That's why there's a spell, Modify Memory, right?
That's just what happened. I don't know. An elder god literally visited you guys, and unfortunately things didn't go so well, but you guys all survived.
Somebody insulted him, and then he's like, "Be gone, mortals." But what else you can do with this is something that doesn't get enough attention that we discussed previously, is downtime activities.
Yes.
I think that's where this sort of exploration is, where downtime activities can really, really shine.
I really love the idea of language learning in 5e. There's no set of rules for it, really, but it's so cool.
Yeah.
Did you bring that up because that was just a thing?
Yeah, because I love it. I think it's cool as hell.
Whereas other editions totally had rules for it.
Yes.
We if you haven't,
well, I think there is, just nobody uses them because it almost never comes up, because the way it's built doesn't really
jive.
It's not really conducive for the way most games are played.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's kind of true for a lot of downtime activities in general.
Yeah, and that's why I think they left it so bland.
Yeah.
But that, once again, that's a great way to expand on trade skills too. If you've got an herbalist, every time they pass a hex, let them roll a d20 and determine how many herbs you collect, enough herbs to make a potion of healing. You collect enough herbs to make 2 potions of healing or something like that, or a poisoner's kit. Or maybe you make some wooden shoes with the cobbler's set,
I mean, having trade skills, I think in D&D is something that gets largely overlooked, because we're always trying to be adventurers and be like, yes, blood, murder, kill. That's what we do. But there is a weird sense of novelty, where you get to just kind of
good word.
You get to just experience your character to be happy for a change, and he's not trying to murder and destroy and trying to fight God.
And not to mention, I think some of the crafting rules, as implemented, as we kind of touched on, they kind of just create a general rule that doesn't really make sense for some items under scrutiny.
Yeah.
It's like what you can, the cost of an item for every 5 gold it's worth, it takes that many days to make.
Yeah.
So in theory, as a result, it's like, okay, now I'm spending an entire year making plate armor.
Yeah, it makes, which, plate armor takes a while, but not a year, especially if you're proficient at your job, I feel like.
I don't know enough about the real science behind that.
But whatever. It's fantasy anyway.
The other thing that I think makes Hexcrawl so much fun is it's a great opportunity to delve into character stories and details.
That is huge.
So
it reminds the DM that you guys have bonds.
Yes. Yes. So if you got, that's a shot at me because his character's got a wife, and I haven't really done anything with it.
Well, to be fair, we were in hell
once in hell, or Avernus or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And now he's on a different plane. Anyway, so
don't know how that's gonna work.
Actually. So the other thing I wanted to touch on, and go into a little more detail with the character building, is because I started playing a game called Celesta. It is a D&D, a video game based off of the D&D SRD, and they use basically a hex kind of process. And what's interesting is that even when nothing eventful happens, it reveals like 1 or 2 lines about the character. Like it might talk about my character is spent the evening playing the flute and entertaining the people, and then it might say Bork didn't give a damn about it. He thought it was terrible or whatever, based on whatever random check it is. But you can reveal a little bit of the character's personality as you're going through that. And that's what I think is really, really just fantastic about it. And you can give the players options to role play as well during these processes.
I think that would help, even if you just want to expand your character. What would my character do in this situation?
Yeah.
And say, because I know there's some people who probably love to role play, and I think that's a huge thing about this game. I mean, sometimes it really is just about role playing a character that you're not, that isn't you. And it's some accented version of you, I guess. And this would be a fun way to kind of be oh, I can kind of put more personality to my character that isn't just he's strong man with shield.
Right. And that's the time for them, even if it is just a barbarian or just a bland fighter, you can slowly reveal your character, which is just fantastic over this long journey, because that's when your player characters are going to build up their ties together. They're not going to build up their teamwork and their knowledge and feelings for each other in the middle of battle. That happens during the journey, right?
Right.
I would like to give kudos to the team in the YouTube chat talking about using Catan, roads, and minis for these, because I think that's awesome.
That's a great idea.
Kudos to you guys. But yes, there's so much that can be done. Obviously, it can be time consuming, but it doesn't have to be as time consuming as you would imagine. So when I ran it, I mentioned I did the 1d4 track. Well, when you do the 1d4, it takes a few seconds. The only time it consumes more time is when they delve into something. If they stumble across the settlement, you might just say, hey, you guys stay at the settlement, nothing exciting happens. But if the characters want to know more and start interviewing people, then you're going to end up spending more time in those locations, especially if it's something interesting. If you stop at a port city with a giant statue of a man riding on a whale, and your characters say, what the hell's up with the man on the whale? Now they've taken interest, so now you get to build out and share that lore and that story, even if there is no combat. You can also use it as trading post, right?
Yep.
They get to visit these new places. Maybe you put 1 or 2 unique items that they can, have a chance to purchase. Or, hey, we visited that town. It had this thing. Couldn't afford it then.
Local rogue will steal.
5-finger discount. But I can come back to it later now that I know where it's at. So there's a lot to it.
Could be a quest hook.
Yes.
If your campaign doesn't have a huge overarching story, you can just and you like to do that kind of mini episode style one shots for your characters. This could be another great way to just do really simple, easy to do one shots. So and there's a whole episode where we talk about magic items having quests attached to them. So
and you're spot on. That is fantastic, because one of the things that I really liked, and I would like to reproduce at some point, is legacy weapons, where you have quests you undertake to forge a stronger bond with your weapon and unlock its potential. And having those kind of dotted throughout a hex map would be awesome, because it's there if the players decide they want to chase it.
Right.
And you just put it on, hex C4 or whatever it is.
Yep.
And if they decide they know it's to the northwest, I don't know where. It's a big map. If you look at the map here, it's big. Which comes to the other point, is it doesn't have to be. You can have hex maps of just general small regions too.
You can.
Which is really fun and cool too, where you might have a lair, troll's lair is one hex, and a spider, cavern is another and you can have them going out and venturing and seeking out those locations. And then maybe even using skill challenges like survival to give them a nudge in the right direction. So instead of knowing it's to the north, they roll really good, and based on tracks or whatever, it's to the northeast. So it gives them a little more get them there quicker.
It just occurred to me that a ranger could actually shine in a hexcrawl potentially.
Yes,
I think this is one of the few instances where a ranger would be extremely helpful.
Favored terrain and everything would absolutely, and knowing how far away monsters are.
Yep.
I mean, and what monsters are there, you are damn right. The ranger was probably made for these.
Yep.
And it's a shame that, you know, we have to play this certain style of way for a ranger to shine because that is the reality.
Yeah.
But this is where the ranger would shine.
Yep,
like, that is the fact here. So, I don't know. That's something.
Well, do you guys have anything else you want to touch on before we move on to our Unearthed tips and tricks?
No, that was pretty good. I hope this actually, like, lets people know that, like, hexcrawls are absolutely a thing, because I know in like the D&D 5e world, a lot of people probably just do theater of the mind, which I don't blame them.
Yeah,
it's the easiest to set up, and it's great.
And tear down.
Yeah, and tear down.
Yeah. And honestly, for this hexcrawls to work the best, you need to come up with some tables.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the internet's full of those.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that the internet has a lot of, go check out the D100 Reddit. D&D Speak does a phenomenal job curating the comments and stuff into tables that are amazing.
Recall this, yep.
And I will preach that website forever. You can go find the stuff ready-made at their dndspeak.com, or you can go to their Reddit and find all their stuff as well. So anyways, hexcrawls are a wonderful world-building and exploring tool. They're such a simple and open-ended approach for the characters to explore the world. Sure, the GM has influence over some of the aspects of the hexcrawl if they decide to put things in certain locations, but it comes down to the choices the players make and which direction they go. And I think that means a longer sessions. I do like the fact you touched on that. It's great if you want to have one-shots when people don't show up. That's a great one. Oh, you stumbled across this hex now has the tomb of this mummy guy, you know, and he happens. And
now you want his undead scepter. Turns out it was a lich. Oh God.
So,
we were a little off on the translation. Not a mummy, actually a lich. Oops.
I think this is also a great way to give out a physical map that's a hand-drawn map by another adventurer, and then have it be not exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything's off by like 3 or 4 squares, so they end up running into more trouble. Like, it's supposed to be here.
That'd be really funny. I like that actually.
Oh man!
Just to introduce a little more randomness to it.
So, obviously, this is not a new idea, but I think it can breathe fresh life into 5e or your RPG.
I agree.
I know that I'll be incorporating more hexcrawls in my future games. The first minor attempt that I ran, I thought was a success. I didn't follow all the details right, but I think I had a general idea that anybody can do it if I figure it out. And it certainly made the few players that joined me far more interested in exploring, because now it's blank and they don't know what direction. They only have general ideas. So with that, I think that'll do it for our main topic today, you guys.
Yeah. Good old hexcrawls.
Yeah, definitely consider trying them. If you've used hexcrawls, share with us in the comments, or if you've got another way that you do it, please let us know, because we're always trying to expand our horizon. Before we move on, I would like to take a minute to plug our own product. If you're like me and you love monsters, I love monsters. I'm a huge monster person. That's why I write so many of them. Right? Please consider checking out Memorable Monsters. Here at Crit Academy, we believe that truly memorable monsters are more than just stat blocks. They are fully fleshed out creatures that allow you to draw from and include many facets of their life and nature. With our Memorable Monsters book, we have created 50 unique monsters with complete and fleshed out backgrounds, complex motives, quirks, and flaws. More than that, we give you a myriad of ways to use them, not just the villain. They can be an ally, they can be a quest giver, they can be a merchant. And there's just so much to them. They all got wonderful artwork, so please consider picking one up. You can pick them up at critacademy.com. Hopefully my wife is watching. We'll add a link in the doobly-doo.
Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
With that, let us move on to our Unearthed Tips and Tricks.
And now, what you've all been waiting for. Our Unearthed Tips and Tricks segment, where we bring you new and reusable material for both players and DMs.
Alrighty, we are back.
We're back.
Were you gonna say something?
No, I said we're back.
We're back.
We're back.
Ian, would you like to tell us about our character concept today?
Oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah, our character concept today is
Oh, that's not right. Alright, go ahead. You're good.
Marbas Horror, male tiefling. Description: this tall, slender man wears just a black suit. His hair is short and dark red, and his eyes are white. You don't see that too often now, do you?
Spooky.
Personality-wise, he doesn't care much for physical appearance, and for that matter, nor does he care much for other people.
Just like tieflings.
Yeah. He does, however, care about what he wants and how to get it. He's used to getting what he wants, in fact. In part because he's a very meticulous planner.
Sounds like a rogue.
Oh, yeah. And for his history, Marbas was born in the north. At a young age, he loved to build and create. He graduated from the Naval Academy and went to see the world at the rank of ensign. He advanced relatively quickly due to his good work ethic, understanding of the chain of command, and natural leadership ability.
He hates people but listens to them.
Yeah. He was recently attacked on the road and was actually beaten by bandits, however.
Oh, okay, that's where it comes in.
Now, I'm kind of curious if the strict discipline of the military is what made him not give a crap about what his appearance looks like, because he was just so annoyed by the discipline, even though he's a meticulous planner. Motivation: he attempts to ambush and attack anyone he thinks he can take on alone and try to knock them out with non-lethal damage. And if he's successful, he'll try to sell them to his slave trader contact, and he wants nothing more than to rejoin the military.
What a...
Wow!
What a colorful character.
That escalated quickly.
He's like, yes, I will knock out people non-lethally because, not because I'm a nice guy, but because I'm going to plunder all their things and then throw them into a slave trade. Also, I really miss the military. What a colorful character.
That's funny.
I love it.
Yeah, I
so
love
crazy.
characters with personality, and this guy's got plenty.
He's got enough for 2 characters. Holy cow!
I think this guy would make for a very interesting reappearing NPC.
Mm-hmm.
I think would be great.
Yep.
So.
Just like he's like some guy on the road. He looks clearly dangerous, right? Because you look at him and he's like, there's something about his form, his the way he walks. It just seems very trained and imposing.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's just like, hello. Please do not talk to me. And you're like, okay, I won't. You're on good. I didn't want to talk to you either. And then like later on, you see him just punching a guy to death, and he just drags him. Yeah.
He's like, don't mind me.
Do not perceive. And he's just dragging a guy away, and you're like, I really don't want to go near this guy.
Alrighty, I think that'll do it for our character concept today. Our monster variant is the Drider Blade Weaver. Ooh, I like this. The art for this that's going in the UTT that are in our full monster development page that the patrons get is amazing. It is so gorgeous. Anyway, so in order to make the Drider Blade Weaver, you're going to start with the origin stat block of the Ettercap. You're going to change the bite. It's going to become a poisoned rapier. Ooh. The new features, it can now cast the darkness spell once per day. And we're going to give it some legendary actions because I love legendary actions.
As we all do.
We're going to give it real. The Drider pulls a creature restrained by its web up to 20 feet towards itself as a legendary action. I didn't actually say it gets 3 legendary actions. It also has Web Lasso. The Drider throws a strand of webbing at a creature within 10 feet. The target must succeed a DC 12 dexterity saving throw or be restrained by the Drider's web ability.
Oh dear.
And of course, the last legendary action is going to be Web Recharge. The Drider rolls to recharge its web. Oh, are you kidding me? Using webbing more than once? Oh, Justin, you beast.
Oh dear.
So first of all, if you don't know, the Etten is only a challenge rating 2.
You need Ether cap.
What did I say?
Etten.
Yes, it's
Yep.
the Etter cap. That explains why I didn't get what I wanted when I googled it. If you don't know, the Etter cap is only a CR rank 2 monster. It has the web walk, the web sense, the spider climb. The fact that it can shoot webs and then yank targets is super dangerous if you put them on high walls, cliff shears, up in tall trees. They just become dangerous. Well, combining that with like a drow feel and giving it a little bit more intelligence makes it seem a little more threatening, I think.
Yeah.
Not everyone gets to fight a regular Drider because they're kind of higher in level a little bit.
Yeah.
So dropping it down a little bit and allows you to introduce them a little earlier, I think. And I just think they're fun. They're half like drow, half giant spider, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's real gross looking.
And I can just envision them shooting out the webs out of their ass and then just like crawling up a tree and then stabbing them when they poison them. Now, it's worth noting that the poison doesn't do anything other than damage. It's not like paralysis or anything.
Yep.
Though the idea of making it like crawler mucus poison that can paralyze them sounded really awesome, but also sounded too strong for a CR2.
Yeah, definitely a little strong for a CR2.
Yeah.
So
But then
that's
again,
just
we
me.
also have the fucking intellect devourer, and that
Oh,
can like
God,
straight up
yes.
kill people. So I don't
that
know
bastard.
anymore. Sometimes
Right,
I
right.
wonder about challenge ratings.
Some people would agree that they're kind of
Yeah, it's like
Well, anyways, I like this. I love my lower level monsters having legendary actions
Yeah,
because it lets
it's
them
just-
do things on other people's turns. And you'll notice none of these are damaging powers.
No.
No, they're not. Yeah.
So tossing into darkness, webbing some people up, and just running away sounds awesome.
I think
like,
it's good. It's
Can you imagine
effective.
chasing down the halfling because it's been stolen by a giant blade weaver rider?
Oh man.
Rolls it up for a snack, little halfling burrito.
Good stuff.
All right, I think that'll. When you do your monsters, stuff like this is great because it's 3-dimensional. Do more 3-dimensional fights. I don't know who you are. I don't know how you play, but do more 3-dimensional fights. Flying, underwater, fighting on the sides of walls only makes the game more fun.
I agree.
Especially when you just, grab somebody when you're hanging on a wall and power bomb them.
Exactly. That's the fun part of D&D is when you get to do weird stuff like that.
Right. All right, that'll do it for our monster variant. Austin, would you like to tell us about our encounter? Now, I want to preface this with, this is meant to be very short and open as a discussion. It's only a sample strategy. We'll see how it goes.
Right, this is kind of something new we're trying here.
All
So we have here the City of Objects. So a city full of inanimate objects turned into creatures via true polymorph. So this already creates some interesting issues, which is, oh god, these things that weren't alive are now suddenly very alive.
So, did you want to finish reading that?
Yep, I was going to.
Sorry, go ahead.
So what if a villain casts Dispel Magic and kills the city of the people with amnesia? And let's try to explore the humanity of it. And do they really have souls, or is this well, that depends, right? Because what
So-
is magic inherently?
So the reason I like this idea, because first of all, Beauty and the Beast is clearly the inspiration for this, right?
Yep.
You could
You
see
have
that.
an
Yep.
entire building, I guess. This would be a city, but you have an entire castle full of people that have been transformed against their will.
Yes.
Now, in that, they do actually know that they were people, right?
I would presume,
so.
because I believe they still retain all their personality and everything, so that would make the most sense.
The heroes are used to fighting monsters and in suits of armor and stuff like this. So this would be pretty strange, and they would probably be second guessing any comments that they make of we're not bad. I'm just a talking clock. It's not strange at all.
I mean, I'm sure because they're inanimate objects and they're clearly not mimics. Because mimics are immediately dangerous and they will try and kill you immediately.
That would be the assumption too. This thing is talking to me. Is it a talking mimic?
I guess that's fair. I guess do mimics have intelligence?
I don't think so.
I was gonna
Guess
say
I don't know, but I don't think so.
because if they don't have intelligence, then the players are more likely to be a little confused by the whole situation. But if the
Yeah,
mimics,
they got a 5.
yeah, so they're not. really
But who's to
intelligent.
say it couldn't be a city full of smart mimics?
You
That's
know,
even more terrifying now that I think about it.
yeah. Let's not delve down that rabbit hole quite yet.
So here we got it. We got a city full of inanimate objects that are now creatures. They're
Yes.
people that lived in the town. They're surviving. How do you think the players would react to stumbling into a city like this? Do you think they would take the initiative and go and try to cure them?
Who knows?
And who turned them that way?
So
And Barbara and Chess, like, what if it's the other way around? You're in an empty city full of junk, but they're actually objects with no sentience.
Oh, you could go both ways. I like that.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Now, I'll admit too, when I read the encounter, the way I interpreted it was somebody polymorph objects into creatures.
into people, yeah, that's what I see.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because
A
that's
city
what
full
so,
of inanimate objects is turned into creatures. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking it was the other way around.
yeah.
Yep.
That's
So,
why I was like, you're
okay.
you're got good points, but like I don't think that's
That's
exactly
not
what's
what
going
we're
on.
talking about here. Yeah. This is
So
what happens when I don't write everything out with thought.
so here's like the fun part, right? Because like these were just inanimate objects,
Mm-hmm.
but now they're technically creatures. They are things that have brains and
Do they have souls though?
And for that matter, do they have knowledge?
see that's the things we're trying to explore now. Because
So,
well,
Do they even know how to speak?
I guess what does true polymorph do exactly?
It's
I know it's a long-winded thing.
it's a whole page.
Yeah,
I'm gonna read a whole page, but I think we can get the crux
gist,
of it,
right?
Which says turn an object into a creature, and the object into any kind of creature as long as the creature's size is no larger than the object size. The creature's challenge rating is 9. Or
Oh,
as long as and the creature's challenge rating is 9 or lower. The creature is friendly to you and your companions.
Okay.
It acts on each of your turns and decides the actions to take. It says it's friendly, so does that mean
well,
from a
friendly
combat
to the thing that turned it into it.
Yes, which in this
Yeah.
case could be a villain.
Could be the villain,
But are they innocents then? Right?
probably.
Because they were turned against their will.
Right.
So now the players are effectively just assassinating everything and murder hobing, which they do anyway, I guess.
So,
Let's say
huh?
what's new.
but
Uh,
it doesn't actually, because I think it determines the creature they get turned into whether they have sentience or not.
the creature is limited in the actions it can perform by the nature of its new form,
Human or commoner, stat block.
and it can't speak, cast spells, or take any other action that requires hands or speech unless it's hold on.
Unless it
Maybe I'm
has
missing
that, right?
something. Unless I think that's creature into creature. So
Yeah,
object
no,
into creature is
object into
the
creature is what
the
you
one
want.
we're only looking
It
at
leaves
here.
it very
Vague.
Very vague. So now that's good though
a commoner
because
stat block is less than challenge rating 9.
yeah,
Yep.
which means now you have a city of people who probably have no idea what's going on,
Or maybe they just
but
think that
they like this one guy.
maybe the one guy just what is that in Full Metal Alchemist isn't the beginning the guy pretends to be a god?
Yep.
What if that's
Or a
similar?
priest of a god.
priest of a god or something. What if that's something similar? He just pretends to be a god and he's brought them all and created his own city to rule. Now is he bad because maybe he was lonely?
I just because I know like oh my god. So this actually this creates a whole other set of problems that maybe you guys aren't super familiar with, but you could be viably a demigod relatively quickly if you could cast true polymorph onto a scale like this.
Yes.
Because all you need is a bunch of followers and you need to do some amazing feats, but you can get the followers real damn quick if they all already like you. So
And I assume they stay until
I don't when does it stop? Does it end?
No.
no
True
it
polymorph
stays.
doesn't end?
If
It
you
needs to be
concentrate for a
dispelled.
full hour, it's permanent.
Yep.
Oh my god.
So right
So
now,
now
we
we
have
have-
okay. So in my mind, I'm envisioning a wizard who's just lonely. And
You
he
could.
spent all of his time in this tower, and he's in love with his books and his pens, and he starts bringing them to life and forms a city around his tower. He is now the ruler, the deity of this tower. He uses magic. They aren't gonna know any better.
Yep.
No, they probably do literally
my
think of him as a
gosh.
god.
Okay. Well, also keep in mind, this is like what, a 9th level spell?
Yes.
He can use once per day. Use it.
Okay,
Every
so
day?
it'd take him a year.
Yeah,
It'd
that's
take him
still-
a year to build a small village.
And he does it every day for years, plural.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, oh
I
man,
think-
a lich could do this. A lich could literally create his
Uh,
entire kingdom that's not zombies.
Yo, this can be like a lich trying to like ascend into godhood.
Oh,
This is the plot of a lich
Oh,
ascending
yes.
into godhood.
This
This
is
is-
a wizard trying to
or a
become a
wizard-
lich to become a god.
Yeah, this is like
Oh, dude.
some high tier shit on accident, all
All
because
right.
of some guy
If
trying to
anybody's
use true
following this
polymorph.
and knows how to use the snipping tools, snip this out and email it to me because
This
I
is
totally
crazy.
want to make an adventure based on this now.
Yeah, that's like
'Cause
actual
it sounds
plot.
awesome.
Yeah, that's
That
like
is-
an
That's
actual
campaign
wow.
material right there.
This is a whole campaign.
There's this evil lich that lives in the towers and enslaved this entire village.
But they all speak kindly of him.
Yeah, they
Every
worship
single
him.
person
As long as he's never done anything wrong to him, he treats him good, gives him home,
Gives 'em
makes
home
pick
and
up
food, yeah. but
Dude,
like
Mate, some asshole adventurers show up.
because they're like, holy shit, it's
Kill
a lich trying to become god. Like this
Oh
is
my
a
god,
problem.
I love it.
Because the reason I even bring that up is because there was like a YouTube video of like me trying to like, because like in 5e there's not really any rulings onto like ascending to god or anything, but there were
No.
some things in previous editions that you could look back to, and
Yep,
that was kind
definitely.
of some of the ways was like you just need like a good like cult following to believe in you. And
Yeah.
then you kind of do some other, I mean, you have to do some crazy feats, but a lich could do that.
For sure.
And like, wow, that's pretty good. Wow.
Yeah.
That's the city of
Okay, so I have to
objects.
owe Austin an apology here. Because normally I write out all the content in advance. And I didn't this time. And I feel like this went way better than anything I would have wrote.
I mean, whatever.
Well, I still am going to have to write it, but now I have to write
Yeah.
it after the fact. All right, that'll do it for our encounter. What did we call it?
City of objects.
City of Objects. Oh, with a
Yep.
lich, apparently, or
with
a wizard.
with a lich or wizard.
Archmage, yeah. So, moving on. Ian, would you like to tell us about our magic item today?
Sure. Our magic item is the Shell Cracker, which I'm guessing was given to us by the user Delsonia.
Yep,
Cool.
That's the name I'm going with.
sounds good.
Warhammer, very rare. For all intents and purposes, it looks like a regular mundane Warhammer, but holding it reveals a thrum of magic through its handle. With every strike, the rhythm of magic explodes through the hammer's head, permanently reducing the target's AC by 1
Oh my god, it's got the rust mechanic.
to the minimum of 10 plus your dex modifier until the armor is professionally repaired. And natural armor is repaired during a long rest.
Oh
That's a
my
nice little
goodness.
detail.
I
Yep.
like that.
On a critical strike, the target's armor is reduced to 10, regardless of the dex modifier, for 1d4 rounds. Upon recovery, the target's AC returns to 10, plus their dex modifier, regardless of where it was before the critical strike.
That is
This is a
really
badass
cool.
weapon.
Can I just say how awesome the name is? Shellcracker? Like, is that not on point or what? I want to thank Dulcinea for submitting this via email. When I first read it, I was like, yep, this is going on the show. 'Cause it was awesome.
This is a crazy item.
Oh,
I feel like it's something you could give relatively early.
apparently Barbara in chat said she's the one who wrote this.
Oh, thank you,
Oh,
Barbara.
thank you, Barbara. Holy cow. This is a
It's very fun.
wow, what an item. I think you could
It basically has the rust monster mechanic on it,
It's-
kind of.
It's potentially game breaking.
potentially, yeah. I mean,
Do
you
think
could
it- Go
because
ahead.
like there's no real way to repair AC.
Mending.
Yeah,
Well, I guess mending, yeah.
I think this would be better to have in the player's hands, though, that would be in an NPC, because
I disagree, but I'm also the guy that runs the NPCs.
yeah.
My rebuttal, though, is how would that paladin feel, though, their +3 magic armor suddenly got destroyed just like that?
Probably
doesn't
the same way a
destroy
wizard
it,
would feel
right?
when his spellbook got destroyed. Pretty crappy for a while. They just get a replacement. It's usually how it works.
I don't think it gets destroyed though. It's just
It just loses its benefit until it's repaired.
yeah.
True, but
you
I'm
never
just saying.
Actually lose it, but that, I mean, this is still a crazy item.
Yeah,
I love
I
it
think
though.
it's very potent. I think I
You know what's
love
even
that it's a
cr-
warhammer, not like a maul or something.
Yeah, you know what's even crazier about this?
Mm.
It has no like pluses to like damage
To hit.
and to hit.
Doesn't need to. It weakens the enemy.
I was gonna say it don't need it.
You hit the enemy and theirs goes down, so yours doesn't need to go up.
It's just wow,
So,
what an item!
I like the bonus on the critical.
I do too.
That's pretty cool.
And the nice touch on the natural armor, because
Yep.
like that is kind of a thing we do got to worry about
Yep.
as players and DMs. Honestly, some players and DM or monsters just have natural armor,
Yeah.
and this is kind of a nice way to circumvent that. So I like that nice little touch, because or else we kind of have to be like, does it work? Or no, it does work. It says it right here. I also like how it's repaired during a long rest, so like their body just naturally heals it back up.
I
think
like
that's
that
cool.
it's almost treated as a mundane item too, though. It doesn't appear anything intimidating. So now I just want to play a tiny gnome with a tiny warhammer, just like go up against like a giant construct and be like, ding, and it like resonates and it starts cracking.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Like a little magical vein starts cracking through it, and you're like, "What is that?" It's like, "Well,
Little bastard.
that's my warhammer, Betty." And you're like, "Huh?"
All right, that'll do it for our magic item, the
That's pretty
shell
good.
cracker.
I like that one.
Our dungeon master tip of the podcast is put your PCs in charge of their own fate.
Mm-hmm.
If you like to use random encounters, consider letting the players roll the dice. This puts them in control of their own fate and lets them feel the weight of their decisions to rest often.
Ah, yes.
So we mentioned the reason I like this with this is because we talked about hexcrawls.
Right.
Another thing is letting them roll on the tables to determine what happens.
Kind of gets everyone in on it.
Yeah, and it's almost like another game inside of a game. You're like, all right, give me the magical treasure chest. Give me the magical treasure chest. Damn!
Damn, 5 ogres. Not good, guys.
And let's be real here. Players love rolling dice.
Yeah, I'm a monkey.
And it's fun for that. But I also think that it's good for other things too, like when they want to for random encounters in dungeons. But maybe you've got your running 20 minions. Give some of the guys or give some of the players a bunch of your dice and say, I need you to roll me a d20. Everyone roll me a d20. And then turns out, okay, hit, miss. What? That's how many just hit you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, how would you guys feel if that happened?
I'd be like, oh shit, we gotta form up, gang.
Like, I don't want to use I'm gonna use my crappy die now. Now you finally got a reason to use the crappy die, right?
I actually just saw
And
like
it finally rolls good.
Right. You get rid of this thing. Just roll 3 ones this game. You throw it. It's a crit. I'm sorry, Bill. You're dead.
Bill, I'm so sorry. I just killed your character.
Honestly, the reason I came up with this is because I feel like as a dungeon master, I have so many things going on that it's nice just to let somebody else do it.
Yeah, like when you let me take control of
Grand Duke
Grand-
Uldar.
Uldar.
Yeah.
I took control of Uldar, and you're like, man, I don't gotta worry about that fuck anymore.
Right. That's one less thing I had on my table. Plus, he got turned to stone, so it gave him something to do.
Yeah, I was just like, man, I got a vibe in a stone suit.
What the hell is this?
It's good. It's a sample.
Apparently, we don't have a player tip there.
Yeah, well, it's okay.
All right, that'll do it for on our Dungeon Master. And I know there's some DMs screaming at the screen, "You asshole! That's not how you do it."
Fuck you.
I would like to say that there's an option rule in the DMG that basically lets the players roll defensive checks against attacks instead of me rolling attack rolls.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it takes it
I
out of
kinda
my
like
hands
that.
entirely, and I think that was part of where this came from too.
I like that.
It
might be something to explore later.
Things
I
you
do
can
like
do
that.
on other
Yeah.
other people's turns. I say that one's attack, and you roll a defense check.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we should play with that some more.
I think so. Yeah, we need to. I think that might be like a good topic to talk on the show later.
You can tell I'm such a lazy ass dungeon master. Like, I'm just trying to pass the whole job off to everybody else at the table.
Hey, dude, DMing's fucking hard.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
I mean, I do remember in my Saturday Avernus game, that time with this group, the DM actually had us roll the random encounters.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
I don't-
And
I
how
don't
did you
blame
feel
them.
about that? Was it different? Nice? Bad? Good?
I thought it worked out just fine.
Yeah.
And it keeps them involved in the entire process, too, more so. Which people love to do. So,
Yeah.
who took? You took?
I apparently have the player tip. Because you took the DM tip.
I was gonna. Whatever. All right.
Do you
Moving
want
on
it?
No, it's fine. It's okay.
I would have given
No,
you.
you know what? It's fine. It's purple. It's yours. It's fine.
Okay.
All right. That'll do it for our Dungeon Master tip. Put the PCs in charge of their own fate. For our player tip to the podcast is
Don't be a dick.
and you can avoid dickitude by listening to Austin, apparently.
With prismatic obliteration. Yeah, we heard that correctly. So we're gonna get a prismatic wall to create a 30-foot diameter sphere wall in the air. Now, a creature that passes through it takes, 10d6 damage each, fire, acid, lightning, poison, and cold.
Each, not one, each.
Yeah, each. In addition, there is a chance that they will turn to stone and or become blinded. So once you create the prismatic wall, you can use the reverse gravity spell to send the enemies tumbling into the sphere. Right where all the pain is. They will take 60d6 damage going up, through both ends of the spear wall, and then drop concentration and sending them back down for another 60 d6. Now, if you can't do math, that is 120 d6s being rolled.
Wait, you got an average for me? I got the average of that.
Yeah.
A fuckload.
Oh my gosh, that is terrifying.
At lowest, that's 120 damage if you rolled only ones the whole time.
So the other thing that occurs to me is you not only using the gravity.
Hooray, gravity.
Okay,
the
on average,
levitate?
we're talking about 420 damage.
Oh Jesus, that's dangerous. That's prismatic wall in a new way.
Prismatic
Destruction.
Yeah, prismatic doom.
Because it's meant to be a barrier.
But you could just use it as a,
And it occurs to me that
wall of death.
The barbarian could just choke a bitch and just start right in his face along the wall.
Yeah, have you guys watched Naruto at all?
I do. I haven't seen Naruto, but I've seen all the Naruto.
Have you gotten to the point in the Naruto Shippuden where you see Onoki, who does he has particle style? That's literally what this is. It's just a geometric shape of obliteration.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Prismatic Wall is a 9th level spell.
Of course,
It is just dangerous to think you could just keep throwing a creature in and out of this thing. Over and over and over.
You could also
that's why legendary resistance is a thing.
Yeah.
You can also probably hold person or hold monster, and you just
in the wall. Can you do that?
Yeah. Why not? As long as they have to fail the save, I guess. But and then after you hold person, that's when you get your local barbarian to kind of be like, and he puts I'm gonna just kind of put you in there, and I'm not gonna touch that. And as you watch them fry in front of you.
Oh my god, this would make an amazing defensive mechanic.
Yep.
When you crawl up inside of your little your rope trick into the little dimension, and you cast the prismatic wall. Like, come and get me, bitches!
Dispel magic.
Ah, shit.
That's a hard thing to dispel magic.
Yeah.
But you can.
It would be what?
You
10?
can.
It'd be 19 DC, I think, wouldn't it?
Something like that. Yeah, it'd be pretty high.
Anyway, this
Point
is certainly
it's hard.
Powerful mechanic. This doesn't even include the fact that the target gets restrained as well.
Yeah.
Because the indigo doesn't actually do damage; it just locks them in place.
Yeah. Also, just
oh, and it's subjected to the petrification condition.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Also,
I
was gonna say. You also have a chance to just be stoned and blinded or blinded. Like it's things die.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Right.
I don't know if it's ever going to be as cool as our tactical nuke from a scrying and meteor swarming somebody from orbit. This feels that kind of level though, where it's just I'm just going to use this giant sphere. I'm just going to go, and he's just going to eat damage.
Suck it!
I love it.
Alrighty, that'll do it for our player tip of the podcast.
Don't be a dick.
And you can avoid dickitude.
By using prismatic obliteration.
That actually seems to me like a great way to be a dick.
Yeah.
Well,
the more we kind of think about it, the more it's kind of like, yeah, well,
alrighty.
maybe you're onto something.
And before that'll do it for our show today. Before we close out, every episode we want to give away fat loots, and we do that to all of our people who follow our newsletter. So please consider heading over to critacademy.com. We are giving away our newest release, the player option, the Elemental Blade Rogue. While many rogues often rely on precision strikes and deadly blows to deal with their foe, the Elemental Blade prefers to release torrents of magical primordial energy through their weapons to get the job done. Around the world, there are many different ways to access magical power. Divine power granted by the gods, understanding the arcane weave, innate power that comes from within, and so many more yet to be discovered. The Elemental Blade can tap into the primordial forces that govern nature. They draw the power into themselves and hold it for a short moment. They then release a horde of power through a conduit, in this case, their weapon. Not only does this enhance their attacks, but the release of the primordial power often alters the very land around them. So,
we got some terrain fun for our rogues who like to run around on stuff.
Our winner today is Poker.
Woo!
Poker.
Pokor.
Congratulations, Pokor. If you didn't win, have no fear. Head on over to critacademy.com and sign up for our newsletter. To not only be entered to win this, we are giving away a free copy of our best-selling Challenge Accepted. All you gotta do is sign up.
It's that easy.
I do want to say, I had somebody challenge me on the Elemental Rogue. The Rogues do enough damage. Of all the primordial elements, only one form actually does extra damage.
Whoa.
Like the ice one turns the sneak attack damage into ice, and it freezes the area, making it slippery terrain around it. As an example. Another one's like the stone skin spell or something like that.
Yeah, see, man, I love rogues. Give me more ways to be sneaky and just schemy. I want to do things, and the elemental rogue will let me do that. So yes.
All right, that will do it for our show today. Right?
Yeah.
You guys enjoy yourselves?
Yeah, I enjoyed the show.
Look at that. We kept it at about 1 hour. I'm on it.
We did good today.
All right, that'll do it for our episode today here at Crit Academy. Please join us on our next episode. Guess what we're going to be talking about?
Monsters?
Monster Manual Expanded 3. This compendium, holy shit, you guys, it's got over 270 awesome monsters, and I'm super excited.
It's kind of a lot to take in.
Yeah, that's what she said. So I'm really excited to talk about not memorable monsters. Well, that too. Monster Manual Expanded. We've covered the first one previously, and I'm super excited to talk about this because that is Manix Draconics has taken a huge level up between the first one and the third one, and it blows my mind. So, with that,
if you enjoy our show today and you want to support us, feel free to visit us at critacademy.com.
Who's he pointing at?
Me, them. Not that.
The camera's there.
There. I'm pointing over here. You can't tell.
No, they can't. Y'all didn't get close enough.
But, thank you. So yeah, visit us at critacademy.com. We do a lot of fun stuff over there, like our blog posts and things. But first, follow us on social media. We have a YouTube that is growing significantly fast.
Yes, it's so fast.
Yeah, I can't believe how fast it's growing.
Thank you guys. You guys are awesome.
We're also on Facebook. It's very popular. We have memes there. And also it tells us about upcoming events and whatnot.
Followers since our show started.
Yeah, on YouTube. Yeah, it's crazy. Also join us on TikTok. It's just a blast there. I haven't done anything there yet, but I will at some point.
But he's gonna be on there, so
I will be on there.
Sexy hairdo. It's awesome. He's gonna do the Justin Bieber shake for you.
Probably not.
Thank God.
I don't want to do that. And of course, go to all of our podcasting things like on iTunes. Give us a review. We can always talk about how cool we are, but it means even more when you talk about how cool we are.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right. That'll do it for our show today. I'm your host, Justin.
And I'm your co-host, Austin.
And I'm your co-host, Ian. Thanks for listening.
Keep your blades sharp and spells prepared, heroes.
Mostly the blades, not the spells. Blades are forever.